Hi, my name is Fela Durotoye, and I would like to congratulate Okwayemi and the team for putting together the Nigerian Youth in Diaspora Engagement Forum. And as you guys look at the theme, Nigerian youth, and the role that Nigerian youth have to play in actualizing the Nigerian dream, I would like to encourage each and every one of you to please put out your best ideas, and not more than that, beyond the talk, take action. I'm very sorry that I'm not able to actually be there at this event with you today physically. Unfortunately, this event clashes with the reason why I actually flew down into the United States to be here, and that's the convention, the U.S. convention for party, the Alliance for New Nigeria. That's a party upon which I'm running for a new Nigeria and aspiring for the office of the president. I guess beyond technology, and that this is what we can do, we can share ideas and be able to pass the message across. And so Okwayemi had sent me a few questions that I hope that I'll be able to share with you. And the first question really was, what is my thought about, how young people can be involved with getting the Nigerian dream actualized? And the first thing I would like to say is, look, what is the Nigerian dream? And I somehow, I just have this feeling that the dream in my heart is probably the same dream in your heart. I mean, when we look at the Nigerian dream, for me, it's just a nation where things work, and a nation where everything works for everyone, not a few. I believe that it's a nation where everyone is able to find work joyfully and use their talents, their passion, and their natural giftings to make things work for others, to solve problems. I believe that with 180 million problem solvers, Nigeria will be one of the most amazing nations in the world. And if we were able to just get that nation where the government works to create an enabling environment, to create work for people, make business enterprises work, and let people be able to thrive. Let people be able to dream. Let the people be able to try and succeed. And I believe that when we can get that going, that the nation Nigeria will become a most desirable nation for people to live in, and a nation that people would love to work in, and a nation where people will love to do business in and do business with. And that for me is really what Nigeria of my dream is. It's the most desirable nation to live, to work, to visit, to invest. It's the kind of nation that everyone loves to get a visa to go and visit. It's the kind of nation that people would love to apply to have permanent residency in. So when people ask me, what, Fela, this new Nigeria you talk about, what really is it? I said, it looks like all the places that you go and queue outside the embassies to get their visas. That's what a new Nigeria is. And I firmly believe that Nigeria is blessed enough as a nation, and we are blessed enough with the people, and also mineral resources, natural resources, and human resources, to be able to be a better nation than the one that we have, and to be able to build a nation that really things work in. Now, let's be clear. Things worked once in Nigeria. And some of the young people may look today at Nigeria and be so disappointed with the way things are in Nigeria. But things used to work in Nigeria. The University College Hospital of UCH Ibadan used to be one of the top hospitals at least in Africa. People came from all across Africa to get treatment in UCH, even outside Africa. When I was born, the Nigerian pound was exchanging for $3, meaning you need $300 in 1971 to buy 100 Nigerian pounds. In fact, by the time I was 6 years old, you still needed $133 to buy 100 naira. This nation worked. In 1976, Nigeria was rated the 6th highest quality standard of education. Our law and order used to work. The police used to be the friend of the people. And the policemen used to give and inspire confidence in people, not fear in people. And there was power. I remember that same 1976 was the first time that I would recall that lights went out at night. And I can still remember vividly, and my brother attests to this. We both remembered how my mother was calling out our names, the names of her 3 children. Bade, Jimmy K, and each one of us saying, yes, mommy, Fela, yes, mommy. And before she could say to us, stay where you are, stay where you are, by the 3rd time the lights had come back on, and we did not have a generator, and we were not rich. My parents were middle class, average middle class lecturers working on a university campus. Now, so you have to understand that Nigeria has worked before. And if you doubt it, please go and Google, and especially go on YouTube and search and find the 1961 trip of Tafawa Balewa, as that time our newly appointed Prime Minister, Tafawa Balewa, to the United States. It's a video that will bring, joy to some, pain to some, but one thing that you know is that the world had great expectations of Nigeria, and Nigeria once worked. So what has happened? How did we get to this place? And for me, I think that the challenge really that has brought the crisis that we see today in healthcare, and you see a point where in 2010, Nigeria had one doctor to 2,000 patients. And you see a situation where, we had in 2010, one doctor to 2,531 patients. But 7 years down the line, by 2017, you have one doctor to 6,000 patients. It's amazing how today there's such an exodus of Nigerian doctors leaving Nigeria in hordes. 92% in a recent survey were found to be actively looking for opportunities outside Nigeria to develop their careers. So we've seen this tragic situation in healthcare where, like in the words of Atayesian, in the next few years, if we are not careful to reverse this trend, we may not find any qualified doctor in a government hospital. So you look at it and say, look, is healthcare working? No, healthcare is not working. And how do I know healthcare is not working? Because it's not working not only for the poor, it's not even working for the rich. I mean, if our president has to go outside the country and for 3 months to go and get treated for an unknown illness to us, then that tells you that healthcare is not working. I mean, can anybody imagine President Trump leaving the United States for 3 months to go get treatment anywhere in the world? Or can anybody imagine the Prime Minister Theresa May or Angela Merkel or any of the presidents leaving their country for 3 months to go and get treatment? I don't think it's heard of anywhere. And that tells us healthcare is not working, okay? If you look at our educational systems and you think to the fact that, to get quality education in Nigeria, you would almost need to definitely go to some kind of private school where you pay through your nose just to be able to get that kind of education. I mean, look at the fact, I and several of the people that doing great things in the United States today, we all went through public education. I went through primary school, public, Moremi High School was where I went to. I didn't go to any Atlantic Hall or any of those kind of, prestigious schools as they now call them. I went to Obafemi Awolowo University for my bachelor's, for my master's degree. And when you think about it, people have still been able to come out of the public schools in Nigeria and come onto the global stage and still do amazing things. I mean, I always like to quickly refer to a Nigerian physician who's doing amazing things in the United States, Professor Oluyinka Olutoye, who, as some of you may have heard, has already performed 2 miraculous surgeries, one of which was actually taking a fetus out of the womb, operating on that fetus, returning it back into the womb, and then the fetus was born a full-term baby, hale and healthy. And Yinka Olutoye went and graduated, went to Obafemi Awolowo, graduated from medical school in Obafemi Awolowo. So what I'm saying is that there was a time when our medical institutions produced quality minds that have become great doctors, not only in the United States, the United Kingdom, in the United Arab Emirates, and all across the world. But there was a time when things worked. So the question you ask is, what has happened? How did healthcare crash? How did education crash? How did power crash? How did law and enforcement crash? Look, it's the same thing. It's the same root cause that you will find. And you can dig deep and you say, well, it's the bureaucracy, it's the systems that have collapsed, but it still comes down to the same thing. It's people. It's people who manage the systems. It's people who design policies. It's people who are supposed to make investments in the institutions that will create the enabling environment for the private sector to do great things. And when those things don't happen, there will be a collapse. I mean, government after government, administration after administration have come up and said the same thing. Oh, the previous administrations did not invest in education. The previous administrations did not invest in healthcare. And we've seen policy failure and policy reversals and all of these things typically bring a halt to development in nations. So let's first understand it's people. If you've got the right people in authority, in positions of authority, creating vision, creating policies, and creating the enabling environment, the nation will thrive. It's literally that simple. So the question is, why do we not have the right people in positions of authority and power? Well, it's simple. Because there is a system that I have described as selectocracy that is a perverted version of democracy. It's a system wherein in the political powers, which are supposed to be democratic, the political parties that are supposed to be democratic, that it's a system where a few people have acquired the power to decide who has the mandate to run and who has the mandate to be presented to the people as candidates. And therefore, they are the ones who select amongst the aspirants who will become the candidate. They are the ones who fund the elections so that those people then are able to go. And most times, as you know, they pay, just a few pennies to 200 naira, 300 naira, 1,000 naira, whatever it is, to the people who would vote those people into power. Now, this is how it works. You know it, I know it. He that pays the piper dictates the tune. So since the cabal and the godfathers are the ones who select and pay those who are in elected office and appointed office to get there, it means that the allegiance of those in appointed office and elected office are purely for the cabal, not for the people. And so, as with every other business, anytime you put in money, you must get returns on investment. And so generally what then happens is that when these people get into power, they must make sure that the cabals get funded and they get their money back. And they not only get their money back for the money they put in to the last election, they must now build a war chest for the next election. And then it gets more interesting. They must make sure that to keep the cost of re-election low, the people must not escape poverty. The people must remain poor. And as you know, like they say, the more you learn, the more you earn. So education cannot be allowed to improve because the lives of the people will improve. They would earn more, and then you will need more money to be able to bribe and influence them to vote for whoever your protege is. And they also say health is wealth. So if you can keep the people sick and you can keep them poor, then you'll be able to manipulate them and be able to play on their emotions, not their intelligence, and make sure that they vote according to the patterns that you wish to. People would look at statistics and their minds will not be able to comprehend what those statistics say. They will not understand the power that they have. And so you ask yourself, how do we fix this? Well, to fix it is quite simple, First of all, you need to have alternative party structures, and those party structures must be the kind that have true democratic values in them, which means that, for instance, rather than it being the cabals that have the ability to select people, it must be that people are selected by the members of the party, especially the card-carrying, fee-paying members of the party. And when every member of a political party is involved in actually electing or selecting their own candidates, as you guys have it in the US, whether it's the Democratic Party or the Republican Party, then we will be able to have true democracy. And let me quickly say something. I mean, many of you know that even when in 2008, when Barack Obama was running for office, Hillary Clinton was the preferred candidate for the establishment. But guess what? Because the people said we want Barack Obama, he got the party candidacy. It's that simple. You know that Donald Trump, President Trump, was not at that time, candidate Trump was not the preferred candidate for the Republican Party. But guess what? In the end, he was still able to mobilize and find a way to get the people to buy into his ideology and his vision for America and to make America great again. And to cut the long story short, even though a Jeb Bush or a Ted Cruz or and all the other guys, 17 other guys, were more favored by the establishment, the power of the people in choosing their candidates through that system worked, and they got the thing. So in the end, the first most important thing that needs to happen to be able to fix government is that you need to have people who will come through a democratic process, and they will become the people who would become candidates and run for office without the power of godfathers. Now, let me quickly just begin to wrap up my thoughts by sharing with you that this is one of the reasons why you have to be involved. Because when you ask, Fela, how can young people be involved today? It's young people can be involved by them deciding that, first of all, we are the future of the nation. And the future is not just a time zone that is yet to come, the future being everything we can do but have not yet done, the future being everything we can have but haven't possessed, the future being everything we can be but have not yet become. We want to have the Nigeria of our dreams, and the Nigeria of our dreams is within our capacity. Let me quickly take you back a few years into history. In 1945, 79 young Africans, literally who had just graduated from school in 1945, between October 15 and October 21, gathered together in a hotel in Manchester, in the United Kingdom. And to cut the long story short, these guys decided that even though they were born into colonial rule, they decided together that they were going to ensure that their generation was going to be the last to ever be born into colonial rule. And some of the guys that were in that hotel include Obafemi Awolowo, Jomo Kenyatta, Kwame Nkrumah, Julius Nyerere, and there were quite a few of them, Kamuzu Banda, many of them. And to cut the long story short, these guys in 1945 decided without power, they didn't have any power. The power was with the almighty British and many of the others, French, Portuguese, all across Africa. But they decided that even without power, they were going to take action. These guys also didn't have any money. They didn't come from any prestigious families. They were young people. How did I know they were young people? Well, in 1945, Obafemi Awolowo, who was born in 1909, was 36 years old. He had recently graduated from law in 1944. So he was a fresh graduate, almost somebody that should have been doing his youth corps about that time. So I'm saying to you that young people gathered together and decided to change the lot of a continent. And guess what? Within 15 years, over 23 countries had already been liberated. And this is the power of young people in diaspora. The power of young people is that in diaspora, especially, is the fact that they have been able to be exposed to the possibilities that are not common to their own country. You see, many of you right here in the United States, you know what it's like for you to have constant power. That for us is still the future of Nigeria. Many of you have faith in the medical system and the healthcare system in the United States. That for us is the future. But it will take young people who are not just, who understand that there's a reason why my heritage is tied to Nigeria. That it's not a mistake. That God didn't make a mistake in having me come to either being born in Nigeria or being born to Nigerian parents. That there is a reason for it. And that my being here is not just about me living, eating, drinking, and then having a great career and then dying and going to heaven, but that it's about me creating value to where value is needed. Now, I am not saying that every young person who's listening to me should begin to pack your load and say, I'm going back home. No, I'm saying first and foremost, realize that you can do something. And in doing something, the first most important thing you can do is, number one, encourage people who you know have the kind of vision of a Nigeria that you want and have put themselves forward to run. Okay? And I'm not talking only about myself. I'm saying any other candidate, any other person, whether it's at federal level, whether it's at state level, whether it's at legislative level, anyone you find that has the same kind of vision that you carry in your heart, support them. Find a way to support them. Find a way to keep pushing them out. The next and the most important thing I want to share with you is you must become the cabal. Look, you are more in number. You are greater in power, but you must let your power turn into strength and propel other candidates who will go into government and do the things that you need to get done and you'll be proud of when they get there. And when I talk about this, I keep saying, look, young people need to find good people and empower them. And empower them with your $10, your $15, your $20. And look, we saw this happen with Obama. We saw this happen even with Trump. We saw this happen with Bernie Sanders. Young people putting their monies behind because if you allow your brightest and best minds to go and collect money from the cabals, they will not only put money in their hands, they will put chains in their hands. And you don't want that, because once they are chained, then they lose their vision. They can't see the plight of the people. They become deaf to the cries of the people. So this is the point that I'm making. Young people, you've got the power, but you have to empower the people who would represent your dreams, represent your values, and represent your heart in getting things to become exactly what it is that you want them to be. Now, so I just like to begin to take my own thoughts to a close by saying, first of all, encourage people. Number two, empower people. But the most important one is begin to enlighten people also with your tweets and your analysis. Look, many of you have access to information. Many of you are learning. And I think that you need to begin to find people, especially on the other side in Nigeria, who are also young people who are still there. And you can share ideas with them. You can share ideas. You can share ideas with some of the candidates that are going on. And you can begin to find ways to not only share ideas, but you can begin to find ways to share information. You know, some of you are already going to amazing universities, right? And you have friends who are going to universities where the quality of education is not as good as it should have been. Well, you know what? You download your lectures, send those lectures to your friends in Nigeria. Just help them. You know, find somebody like you who's on the other side, who's doing something, and connect with them. And as you connect, you send them information, you connect with them and invest more of your time, and most importantly, make sure that your money goes where your heart is. And so if your heart is in Nigeria, don't join the list of people who are constantly just complaining. Find creative ideas. And I love the fact that you guys have created a platform. I celebrate Opeyemi for what he's done. Created a platform for engagement. Please let's use this as a bash Nigeria, talk about how bad everything is in Nigeria. Let's begin to talk about ideas. Let's use those ideas creatively and constructively to come up with how we can build a Nigeria where things work. So all I'm asking you to do is really say to yourself, beyond talking about it, beyond having Nigeria in your heart, I want you to take action and begin to find how to connect and get involved with the political process that produces those who will govern us. Now, don't let anyone, I repeat, don't let anyone tell you that this powerful and the establishment is too strong to break. It is a lie. It reminds me of a picture that some of you may have seen of this incredibly big, powerful horse that is tied to a chair. And the horse is not moving, thinking that this plastic chair is what is holding it bound. Don't fall into the lie that tells you that there's nothing you can do. There's no way that you can break the structure. The power brokers are way too powerful. Let me tell you, in 2015, 96 million people were above the age of 18. Only 28 million votes were cast. 70 million people did not vote. That means 70 million people who had the opportunity to collect money from the establishment to vote chose not to vote. Lagos Island local government elections in 2017. Lagos Island has over 2.8 million residents. Only 3,113 votes were cast to choose a local government chairman. In Etiosa local government, where I live, and many of you know Etiosa because it's some of the iconic of this Obalende, Ikoyi, Victoria Island, Lekki, Oniru, Ajah. It's the fastest growing local government in Nigeria. It's the third richest local government in Nigeria. Okay, estimated population 4.5 million. Last year, the local government chairman was chosen, and guess what? Only 11,769 votes were cast. I didn't say that wasn't what got him elected. In fact, PDP had 1,141 votes. APC had 10,000 something votes. Now, so that tells you that this whole cabal and the establishment, they have lost their lure. Even the people they normally would pay to come and vote and the people are not interested anymore. People are tired. So my point is this. We young people must begin to understand people are tired of the establishment. They are tired of the old Nigeria that we have had to endure up till this point in time. We want a new Nigeria. We want a new Nigeria that works. We want a new Nigeria where everything works. We want a Nigeria we can be proud of. We want a Nigeria that we can say we are Nigerians, and wherever we appear anywhere in the world with our green passport, people will say, welcome, you are a Nigerian. This is the kind of person we want. This is the nation that we want. And you can have that nation if you're willing to get involved. So, Thank you so much for the time that you've given to me. I want you to get involved. Let's make great things happen, and we will have the Nigeria of our dreams. I believe we can deliver the future if we together arise and build the future of Nigeria together. Let's do it. God bless you, and may God bless this amazing gathering of people, great leaders of Nigeria, and may God bless the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Thank you.